Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum and a very good morning to all. Thank you for being with us today. Salam UiTM di hatiku and salam JRU 2025. I am Syazwanie Mansor, your moderator, and we are here today for another series of webinar in collaboration between Academy of Language Studies and ILD UiTM Kedah, which is IELTS on the go, quick tips on preparing for the test. And besides Google Meet here, we are also live from ILD UiTM Kedah Facebook page and ILD Kedah YouTube channel. So you are free to join us through any platform, yeah? And if you have any questions later to the speaker throughout the webinar, you can post your question in any platform and I will monitor them from time to time and will read your questions to the speaker during the Q&A sessions later. So in this webinar, our speaker today, Ms. Jacqueline Chuah, will share the useful strategies for tackling the 4 major modules of IELTS, besides the brief introduction to the standard format of the test. And special thanks to the IDP Education Malaysia for the generous offer to the webinar participants today for a discounted rate of 350 instead of the usual 450 for its May 2022 online IELTS workshop that has been scheduled on the 23rd to 25th May 2022. So please stay tuned to know more about it, yeah? And if you're planning to take the test, please do not miss this great opportunity. And before we begin, let me introduce our speaker for today. With her 15 years of involvement in IELTS training, Jacqueline Chuah has conducted numerous IELTS workshops to prepare test takers from various backgrounds for the test. And her audience included professionals, academicians, and university students. And Jacqueline Chuah is also currently a senior lecturer at the Academy of Language Studies here in UiTM Kedah Branch. And without further ado, let's welcome our speaker for today, Ms. Jacqueline. Jackie, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Dr. Wawa, for the very, very flattering introduction. And first of all, I'd like to thank ILD, UiTM Kedah, and also IDP, and of course Academy of Language Studies UiTM Kedah for organizing this session. And also I would like to thank IDP for the kind offer for the special rate, yeah, to all the webinar participants today. So like Dr. Wawa said, I'm Jacqueline. You can just address me as Jacqueline. I am a senior lecturer of UiTM Kedah, Academy of Language Studies UiTM Kedah. I've been teaching here for the last almost 15 years. Yeah. And well, I've been involved in IELTS training for quite some time, so I hope through this session I'll be able to share with you some of the important things or things that you'd like to know about this international test, so that you're more prepared for it. Okay. Well, I believe that, I would like to also welcome all of you to the webinar and thank you very much for taking your time off from your busy schedule, whether it's from your class and also during this Ramadan month. Thank you so much. So I hope I will be able to share with you as much as possible. Yeah. So if you have any questions, please do drop them. You can even ask me questions in between my session, or you can drop your questions in the comment box or in any of the sharing platforms. Okay. All right, so I hope you can see the slides well here. I'm just going to go to the slides and after that I won't be able to really see, the Google Meet screen. All right, so I won't be able to see your reaction. So Dr. Wawa, please help me to manage that. If anyone asks questions, you can just let me know, yeah? All right, thank you very much. So I'd like to begin first. So this is the session today. IELTS on the go, quick tips on preparing for the test. I hope I'll be able to squeeze in as much as possible during this 2 hours. In fact, most of the time I will run this session for about 3 hours, if not for 3 half days for a more comprehensive workshop. Okay. Well, this is what I hope to achieve today. We are going to have a quick introduction to IELTS about what it is. If you haven't done the test before, at least you know what it is in about 10 minutes. And then we're going to go on to talk about the test format and preparations for the 2 major modules of this test, listening and reading. And after that, I will go on depending on how fast I go and how many questions I'm getting. If you need a break, just let me know. We can slot in, a 5-minute, 10-minute break in between. Otherwise, I will move on to talk about the test format and preparation for writing and speaking, followed by the Q&A. Right. So I hope this is I hope this can be achieved within these 2 hours. Yeah. All right. So first of all, I'd like to introduce you a little bit about our main sponsor for this session, that is IDP Education. If you don't know about IDP Education, it is actually an education counseling service provider that is also an official IELTS provider worldwide, and also in Malaysia. We have our IDP Education Malaysia, which has different branches in all over Malaysia. Specifically, we have one in Penang, we have one in Perak, we have one in KL, Subang specifically, and we have in Johor as well. Right. So if you plan to take your IELTS test, you can always consider IDP Education to do your tests. Right. So yeah. So what is IELTS? Yeah, IELTS is, the name is International English Language Testing System. That is the full name. It is in fact the world's most popular English test for study, work, and also migration. So if you fall into any category of this need, you can actually consider taking IELTS in order for you to move on to your next stage of your life. Yeah. And in fact, millions of IELTS tests are taken each year. Now, in IELTS, essentially, you have to deal with these 4 major modules. Okay, these 4 major modules, you have listening, you have reading, writing, and speaking. Now, before pandemic, speaking is purely face-to-face. Yeah, speaking was purely face-to-face before pandemic. But now, due to pandemic, IDP education has also, or in fact, IELTS has also introduced the virtual test. So depending on your needs, you can actually request for either face-to-face or the virtual test, depending on the availability and also your needs as well. Right. So to ease your mind a little bit about IELTS, some of you are very concerned about, oh no, is this a test that, they're going to penalize me if I speak like a Kedahan, my English is Kedahan English or Singaporean English or Malaysian or Penang Guide English or whatever English. It is not a British English or Australian English or American English test. It's a global English test. Okay. And also, it's not purely a test of grammar. Yeah, language is more than this. Rather, it tests you on your comprehension and your ability to use the language to your language skills to manage different communication aspects of the language. And also, it's not a pass or fail test. It all depends on the band that you need to attain. The band that you need to attain for the requirement of whatever, whether it's for scholarship application or for university placements or for migration purposes, you have to look at the band that you need to achieve. Yeah, and then you work towards that. Okay, so up to now, is that okay? And is there any question? Is there any question? Okay.
So far, there's no question in the chat
Okay,
box.
good. Now, in between, the participants are free to just, comment or just ask questions. Yeah. So just some information about IELTS. It's the world's most popular high-stakes English test for study, work, and migration. And you can see that increasingly there are more and more test takers. There are more and more test takers. And also to tell you that the test is getting more and more expensive. Yeah, so the test is getting more and more expensive. Therefore, I feel that there's a need for test takers or potential test takers to know more about the test, to be more prepared for the test so that you can actually make full use of the test fees that you're paying for. Okay. Yeah, so why do you need IELTS? Of course, over here we're all academicians. Maybe some of you plan to do your postgraduate studies. Some of you plan to do some more postgraduate studies. Even if you have got your PhD, you might require to do IELTS for the university placements or for some scholarship offers. So yeah, you will probably need to do IELTS besides um, other tests, other English tests that have been required by the universities. And I think our Malaysian Education Ministry of Education actually requires all the scholarship um, the scholarship scholarship applicants to produce their IELTS test results, and I think they need to attain at least band 6 and above, depending on the program or the course that you are applying for. And if you plan to work in other countries that will need you, or even in certain professions, you may also need to have the IELTS test results. Okay, and for global companies, they may need you to produce your IELTS test results if you are, say, they're gonna send you to other countries, especially the English speaking countries, to work, right? And specifically, if you plan to migrate to Australia, Canada, UK, and New Zealand, definitely you need to produce IELTS results, right? Okay, I'm going to skip this a little bit more. So, now preparing for your IELTS test, first of all, you need to actually determine the IELTS test and score that you will need. I think that's the first thing that you need to know, because you have to plan ahead and set some time for you to prepare sufficiently for you to get the score that you need, and also to secure the test dates. Mind you, sometime, when during the peak periods, some test dates are actually quite difficult to book. So you need to plan ahead. You do not want to say, next month you need the results and you plan to do the test, say, 1 or 2 weeks before. You can't do that. You need to plan at least like 2-3 months ahead. Do the test and get the band that you need, and then also get the results before the submission date, right? And also you have to be prepared that just in case you don't get the band that you need, then you may have to retake the test, and then again the whole process will have to repeat. Okay, and then how to prepare. Of course, you need to know the format of the test. You need to know exactly what you have signed in for, you have paid for, yeah, and what you have to prepare for. So what I'm going to share with you today is going to be very quick, and if you want to know more, of course, a more intensive workshop will be better. Right, and prepare for the test. Of course, some people choose to do their own self-study. They go and buy books, or they rely on the internet or web materials to work on their IELTS practice. You can do that if you're already a very confident and fluent users of the language. But if you feel that you need more help, then probably you need to consider signing up for workshops. Right, and then book a test date. It might not be the last. You might want to put this first, book a test date first, and then you do these three. So it is not in a linear form. Yeah, you can do this first, or you can even do this concurrently. Okay. All right. Determine the IELTS test score that you need. Let's say how to determine that. So find out the test version that your school or profession, that workplace requires. There are two versions. Okay, please make sure that you have decided, or you have made sure that which module that you need to take and sign up for it. If, let's say, you need to do academic, but by mistake you sign up for general training, then too bad. You may have to do this again. Okay, or you need to do general training, but you accidentally you sign up for academic, then you have to do it again. That means you have to pay 2 times, and then you have to sit for the test 2 times. Okay, so find out and confirm which test versions that you need to do, whether it's academic or general training? Usually for university placements and postgrad studies, you would be required to do academic. But some actually just need you to do general training. It depends. Yeah. So you have to ask very, very carefully. Yeah. Make sure that you know which module that you need to take. And also probably think about your skills. Let's say you have an options. Let's say you have an option of doing either academic or general training. Okay, I don't know. You may have the option. If you're lucky enough to have the option, then think about your skills. Are you better in writing essays, reports, or numbers? Then you can consider taking either one of it. Okay, because there are certain parts of these two versions that are different, even though generally they are quite similar. And then if, let's say, really, like I said, if you have an option, always go for general training, because the reading section and the writing section will be slightly easier. So that is the tip. Okay, so that is the tip. Yeah, so I hope everyone will take this to their advantage. Yeah. But it doesn't mean that, you can just hop onto it and take general training. Yeah, again, like I said, confirm. Okay. Like I said, there are IELTS academic version, usually for entry to universities, and for professional registration. For example, like you are, I usually face a lot of medical professions. Medical professionals will have to do academic module. Yeah. And if you're doing for work purposes, usually it's for general training, right? For profession registration, like for medicine, yeah, and maybe for other more professional uh, fields, you may need to do academic. But if you want to go somewhere to work, or the company requires to do IELTS, usually it is general training. Okay, and for migration, you see, it can be either academic or general training. So you have to confirm. Now, if you're going to the UK to work, study, or live, IELTS for UKVI academic, IELTS for UKVI general training, or IELTS life skills. So if you're going to UK, there are more versions to consider. And what is the difference between UKVI and the general IELTS test that are offered in our country? I do not want to talk about other countries, but assume that you're going to take the test here. Over here, all the tests are done. Oh, this is especially for the speaking module. For speaking module, even though it's face-to-face, in Malaysia, we do not have the video recording. But for UK, if you go to UK and do the test, or you opt for UKVI version, I think it's only offered in several countries, not all. Then the speaking session will be video recorded. Over here, we just have audio recording. Okay, but I don't think this matters to you much. I think this is the problem of the examiner. Yeah, but again, you have to make sure that you sign up for the right version. All right, I'm going to just skip this. And now you also have the computer delivered IELTS. So if you're more comfortable working on the test on the screen rather than paper-based, you can actually request for computer delivered IELTS. They have it in Subang. They also have it in Penang. Depending on the number of test takers and also the availability, you can actually request. But again, it's better for you to approach IDP education of any branch and ask about it. But there is an option. Okay. I'm going to skip this. I don't think this is very important. So, what IELTS result will you need? Actually, each university or college employer sets a minimum IELTS score for entry. So let's say for our Kementerian Pendidikan, we usually have a minimum of 6, if I'm not mistaken. Band 6, if not 5.5. Band 6 of 5.5. So if you need to attain band 6, I think it's better for you to prepare for band 7 for safety reason. okay, for safety reason. And if you can actually get better band score, why not? Okay, so don't just aim for the minimum, aim for one band higher than that. Okay. All right. So the IELTS band scale, 9-band scale, it's from 0. I hope no one will get the 0. 0 is actually, if you don't turn up for the test. But for Malaysian users, Malaysian language users, I think average will be 5.5 and above. 5.5 and above. So it's from modest user to even expert user. So it's within this range. It's within this range. So it depends on whether you need to get band 6 as competent user. For medical profession, sometimes they even need a band 8. For teaching, sometimes they need, especially for language, they probably need a band 9. So you have to know. Okay, don't assume. Right. So up to now, any question? From the floor? Is everything okay? Am I going too fast?
Everything okay, Jackie? So far, no
Okay, great.
question.
Okay, good. No question can be good or bad. Either, they I whatever I say doesn't sound right, or maybe it's they are very clear about it. Okay, anyway, I'll take the latter, yeah,
Yeah.
just to make myself feel comfortable. Know the format of the test. All right, so this is what you are going to pay for. I think now the test fee is about almost up to 900 already, 800 over, depending on our exchange rate. Yeah, of course they fix they fix the rate, but it fluctuates. Sometimes it doesn't fluctuate all the time, but you can see that it increases all the time. It increases all the time. When I first started when I was first started involved in IELTS, I think it was just a very, very little. It was about, say, 500-600 ringgit, 500-600 ringgit per test. But now it has gone up to almost 800-900, almost 800-900. So each test costs a lot. Therefore, I've always told my workshop participants that look after your money, look after your purse, try to hit as many correct answers as possible, because each question actually costs you some money. Yeah. For academic version, there are four sections. Listening, reading, writing, and speaking. We call them modules. Yeah. Listening module, reading module, writing module, and speaking module. And general training has the same. And you see, listening runs for 30 minutes, and you have 4 sections. And within that 4 sections, you have to answer 40 questions. I think you need to do a little calculation here. My mathematics is not very good. So how much time do you have for each question? Can someone answer? How much time do you have for each question? In 30 minutes, you have to answer 40 questions. Any clue?
0.75 seconds.
Yeah, okay. That is just the time. That's the time inclusive of your thinking time, your confused time and all this. So meaning, moral of the story is speed. You need to be cepat and tepat. Okay, and they do not replay the audio. You only listen to the text once. Okay, you listen to the text only once. For academic and general training, the listening module are the same. You get the same set of questions. Reading, and this follows the same order. Yeah, in your test, you start with listening and then you go to reading. Once you're done with listening, you will have to continue with your reading. 1 hour, 3 sections, 40 questions. Okay, and readings module in academic version is usually more challenging than the general training one. That is why, back to the earlier reminder, if you have an option of choosing between the two, then always consider general training because the reading section is actually easier. The reading module is easier. Okay, and then you have writing, in which you need to complete two essays in 60 minutes. 2 essays in 60 minutes, and general training the same, but the essay types are different. The essay types are different. Again, the writing section here is much easier. It's much easier. Right? And after which you are going to continue with your speaking test. Now, this is the most relaxing one. This is the most relaxing one in which you can complete everything within 14 minutes. Very precise, very exact. 14 minutes, no more, no less. You can finish before 14 minutes, but you can never finish after more than 14 minutes because this test is a standard test and everything is audited. Everything is audited. The audio recording and the video recording may be randomly picked for auditing purposes and monitoring purposes. So the examiners will have to make sure that the speaking test will have to end before 14 minutes. Okay? If it is face-to-face, even in your virtual speaking test is the same. Right? So the total test time will take about 2 hours and 44 minutes, plus 10 minutes transfer time for paper-based IELTS. For computer-based, you don't have to because you are going to answer the questions there and then. So you don't have the time to actually, they don't give you extra time to transfer your answer from this to that. But if it is paper-based, then yes, 10 minutes extra for only the listening module. Only for the listening module, not for the others. Right? Okay, so we are coming to the, I actually exceeded the time a little bit. Okay, so for the listening module, like I said, in 30 minutes, you need to answer 40 questions in 4 different parts. And each question is worth 1 mark. Unfortunately, I cannot tell you how they mark the questions, how they mark your test papers in this way, because all these are being marked on the computer. Yeah, on the computer because it's OMR. Yeah, and also some filling in the blanks, but it is not done by the examiner. Okay, so each question is worth 1 mark. Don't worry about how many marks. Actually, your task as a test taker or a potential test taker is to make sure that you gain as many marks as possible. And there's no penalty for wrong answers. Therefore, the reminder or the tip is fill in all the blanks because you paid for it. Fill in all the blanks. If you don't know the answer, agak-agak, just guess and put in one answer. Okay, after all, you have paid for it. So if you don't write anything, you still get 0. But if you write something, you might actually stand a chance to gain mark if you're lucky enough to put in the right answer. And you can use either British or American spellings. And you know the difference between color COLOR and COLOUR. You can use either one, but you must use them consistently, especially in your writing. You don't write one sentence COLOR, the next sentence you write COLOUR. Then they may be perceived as a kind of error. Okay, so you can use either one. You will hear a number of recorded monologues and conversations in a variety of English accents, so not to worry about the accent. Actually, now it has become very globalized. Okay, the test has become very globalized, so you can even hear Malaysian accent, not Malaysian English, but Malaysian accent or very Asian accent. It can be New Zealand, it can be Australian, it can be British. If you can actually tell the difference, right? But it doesn't matter. Your job is to try to capture the right answers. Okay, so not to worry too much about the accent. So listening test format. There are 4 sections. Just to give you an idea of what these 4 sections are. They are the same for the both modules, yeah? Section 1 will be a conversation between 2 speakers on everyday social topic. So they start with the test starts with something that is relatively close to our daily lives, so that it's easier for us to identify with. For example, people asking for a student asking for rent from an apartment owner, or a tourist asking for information from a tour guide, whatever, right? So it's just a conversation between two speakers on a very common day-to-day topic. And then you will move on to section 2, which involves a talk by one speaker on a general topic. So it can be something like a tour guide giving an explanation of a certain building, or say a person giving some briefing to a group of, say, a group of students on the dorm, the rules of the dorm, or whatever. Okay, something like that. Still not too further from what we know, right? And then section 3 will be a little bit more on the academic slant, in which it involves an, a discussion between 2 or 3 speakers on a topic related to education. So the very common example would be, say, a discussion between a supervisor and the students on the research topics, or some assignments or project. Okay, and lastly, you have an expert giving a lecture or a talk on an academic or study related topic. So the topic is very wide. It can be as simple as online learning. It can be as far as, say, aeronautics, for example. So it can be any topic, but it will be a lecture by one speaker. So you have to listen to that entire lecture and answer the questions. All right. So yeah, this is an overview of the listening module. Social aspect will be part 1 and part 2, and academic aspect will be part 3 and part 4. Even though you're doing general training version of the test, you're still going to have the same set of questions. Yeah. And then IELTS recordings. Okay, what do you expect to listen? Yeah, the audio recordings. Authentic like language, of course, they will use very authentic materials, very authentic recording. And discourse features of natural speech repetition and redundancy. Of course, you have the in that, because it has to be natural, right? So it's not rehearsed, it's not scripted. It's not scripted, right? And there will be variety of voices. You have male, female, you have adult, children, not really children. They don't really involve children, but maybe elderly and the younger people, so and so forth. No keys at start of each section. They will not tell you, okay, today we're going to talk about. No, they're just going to start straight with the. First of all, they would give you, of course, the rubrics or the instructions, and then you go straight to the audio text. And there will be up to 3 item types in one section. Item types means you have a mix of, let's say, multiple choice and filling in the blanks, or even completion of graphs and charts. So
Jackie, sorry to
yes.
interrupt you.
Yep.
I think someone raised her hand. Dr. Noazah.
Yeah,
if you
sure. You can just ask me. You can interrupt me.
Yeah,
Dr.
you can unmute mic and ask the question to the speaker.
Yeah, sure.
Dr. Noazah.
Hi everybody. I'm
Yes.
Azza. I'm from Faculty of Medicine.
Hi.
And I'm really taking a crash course because I have to complete my IELTS in about 3 weeks down the road.
Okay.
And I need to score band 8 in all sections.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Medic is hard. I know.
Yes.
I know medic is hard. Yeah.
Yes.
You need to have a consistent. Yeah. Again, thank you for bringing it up. Yeah. Dr. Azza. Yeah. For some requirements, they need you to just attain a general, let's say 7.5. That means, each module you get like 7, 6, 7, 7, 8, 7, 8, you still can get through it because you get
Yes,
an average 7.5. But
exactly.
for certain profession, requirements, they need you to show like consistently every module you have to score band 8 or
Yes.
even band 7 or whatever.
So
So yeah.
my
So what
my
is your
question
question then?
my question is because I'm taking it on a computer.
Mm.
So as I listen for the IELTS listening, and I'll click on the button. Is that so? And I would, because there's no time to transfer the answers, right?
No,
So it's just
no,
a
you
click of a
can just click.
button.
Yeah, you just
Right.
click the
Okay.
answer, or you can just type the answer onto the whatever form or the test materials there. Yeah.
Okay. Understood.
For paper based, they will, you have the usual test questions on a piece of paper or
Yeah.
2 pages, and
Yeah.
then you can jot down your notes, and after that they will give you 10 minutes to think about it and transfer your answers.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they don't have this for computer based
All right.
test.
So
All
as
the
I
best. Yeah.
so sorry, I'm interrupting a lot.
It's okay. No problem. It's okay. Ask question. I welcome questions so that I don't go on to talk about things that you already know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so as I listen and I can answer the question, so just click, and can I move on to the next question? Can I turn back?
That I'm not too sure because I have never seen the computer-based test before. You may actually
Right.
ask you can actually Google it, or
Uh-uh.
you can ask the test provider. You can
Right.
ask which provider are you going to? British Council or IDP?
Yes. British Council, because that's
British
the only
Council.
one I could get in 3 weeks.
Yeah, that's why I said, test dates are like last Saturday was all packed in Penang. All
Mm.
packed. It's the peak. I do not know why. Yeah.
Right.
Okay, great.
Okay.
So all the best to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so
Lots
much.
of practice. That's all I can say. In these three
Yeah.
weeks, you just have to do lots and lots of practice. And I
Yeah.
hope you can get hold of the actual IELTS books rather than just the web-based materials. Because be careful. Sometimes the web-based materials are not produced by the people who know IELTS very well.
Right.
So you
Okay.
may get misled or you
Yeah.
may get misguided. Okay, so
Right.
it's
Thanks so
always
much.
good to have a IELTS, something from Cambridge IELTS would be good. All right,
Okay.
or you go
Fantastic.
to the IELTS website, the official page. All
Right.
right. Now
Thanks so
it's always
much.
scripted. Welcome. It's always recorded, and it's not written language read out loud, so it's not monotonous. It's always you have this very very lively and very natural dynamics among the speakers. Yeah, it's very much like uh listening to a radio drama or something, right? Yeah, so this is how it is. So in the first section, you have, say, like these situations, like I told you, it's something like a person phoning a museum to ask about classes, a person conducting a survey, or a person arranging for transportation from an airport to a town, or a person calling a health club for information, or students asking for information. It's always about asking for information. Okay, so it's quite simple. And section 2 will be general interest talk by one person. Yeah, so a person giving tour, like I said, a policeman even giving a report of a crime, and a radio talk on an interesting topic, but not as heavy and academic as in section 4. A counselor talking to a group of students, or a salesperson giving a tour. Right? I'm going to go very quickly on this, yeah, because I'm more interested to share with you the tips. So part 3 will be um, an academic conversation. They can be talking about a worksheet or their project or a dissertation, thesis, and paper. And part 4 is just a university lecture of any topic. So you have to open your mind, no point, doing this spot question. Yeah, there's no spot question. It can be anything. It can be anything really. Right. So what about listening? Listening meaning you need to pay attention and not just hearing. So meaning you need to always be focused because you need to concentrate on whatever that has been spoken. And you have to be quick enough to capture the important information. And how you know that the information is important? Anyone? all of us have been teaching for a long time. I'm sure you have been sharing this with your students as well, whether you're language teachers or your content-based lecturers. Tell them when during your lecture, how do you make sure that they know the key points?
The tone of the voice will change.
Yeah, like I said, you have to watch out for the tone. You have to watch out for the stresses. You must also pay attention to the linkers, like when they say first, second, third. You know that some main points are coming up. Okay, so all these things are quite important. All right, so the band scores. This is just a rough one. Okay, don't rely too much on this, because again, we don't know how they actually adjust this from time to time. So this is just a rough idea, because a lot of my workshop participants will ask me, Miss, I got this number of correct questions. What band do you think I can get? I just always tell them, get as many correct answers as possible. If you have 40 questions, of course, the best is get 35 correct. Then you're quite safe. So try to hit at least 35 and above, if not 30 and above, if you do not require to get that high band as 8. So Dr. Azhar, you may have to look at 35 and above.
Yes, I shall.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So what do we do when we listen? We always listen for specific information like details, or listen for gist, overall meaning. So all these skills will be tested in the 4 sections of your listening test. The 4 sections. So the questions will come in different forms, but again, the gist of it is that all of them will be assessing you on this range of listening skills. All right. And learn to ignore what we don't need. So how do we know what we don't need? How do you know that, that information is not important? So I'm just going to skip. I'm going to focus on the next one. What is that? How would you do that? Key number 1, always read the quest. Anyone? Always read the
Questions first.
Always read the questions. Always read the questions first. All right. So don't sit there and, let your mind wander off, think about, what to buka posala, what to do for Raya and all this. Focus. Look at the questions and pay attention, especially to the keywords. Let's say the question asks you, what is the color of the building? What is the color of the building? So when you listen, your brain will actually tune more towards words that are related to colors. So if you have already given your brain that signal that, yeah, I need to listen for color, then your brain will capture that. If you don't read the question, you don't know what you're listening for. You'll be just hearing. So that is when you miss the important information, i.e. you miss your mark, i.e. you lose your money. Yeah, understand? Okay, I have a question here. Sorry, I've taken the IELTS test with British Council, listening as a ballroom. We have not given the headphone. I can't listen to conversation plate. Unlike when it was conducted in the lab. Okay, Fauziana, every test providers will differ in the setup of the test venue. So some British Council test venues actually provide headphones, but for IDP Penang, no headphones as well. But it's due to the acoustics of the ballroom. It's probably due to the acoustics of the ballroom. So usually there's no question, there's no complaint usually. Yeah. So probably it's just one of the rather poor example of the poor setup of the test venue. Okay. I'm sorry to say that. Yeah. Faustina, usually it doesn't affect whether or not you have a headphone. Usually they will make sure that the audio is clear enough and the venue has pretty good acoustics and noise proof that you can actually hear everything quite clearly. Right? Okay, shall I move on? Shall I move on? I think, we're behind time. My goodness. I'm going to skip this and I'm done with this. So, listen for listening. All right. This would be some of the important things. Yeah. Be familiar with this IELTS question types. You have all this multiple choice. You can even, type A, form completion, table completion, sentence completion, note completion. So arrange. So my suggestion is work on as many practice tests as possible to get yourself familiar with all these test formats. Okay. And you also have multiple choice, pick from a list, matching, classification, and labeling a diagram. Okay. I think most of the candidates dread this as you have a map, and then as you listen to the tour, you have to actually find, where label the map. That is one of the very challenging question type. Okay, so you need to practice a lot. Now, how to get yourself prepared for the tests for listening module? Be familiar with all these question types. Be familiar with possible IELTS topics for each section. So how to be familiar, again, like I said, practice, and go and find out more. Practice rewording question. Now, this is very important. Yeah, sometimes the question may come in a form that you have heard something, but you have to rephrase it. For example, in the text it says education, but within the context of the question, you need to change it to educational, for example. So you need to change the form from a noun to an adjective. So all these paraphrasing skills are also part of the IELTS test assessments. Okay. And yeah, like I said, paraphrasing. Even when they speak, sometimes they won't give you the exact phrase as what is stated in the question. They will rephrase it. So this is to test you on whether you understand that, this and the one in the text and also the one in the question are the same. Right? And before you listen, what you should do is be familiar and the number of speakers in each section so that you don't get mixed up. And the same thing. But I think most importantly, before you listen, you need to read the questions and mark the keywords. And while listening, you just need to really work on the skills of capturing the information from whatever that you have read from the questions, and also to look out for the stresses, the intonation, the linkers. All right. So that's for listening. I have to go a little bit like a bullet train because I'm behind time. Now for reading. Reading, a lot of people think that, listening is more difficult. But for me, I think reading is the most challenging, especially for academic module. Reading is the most challenging one. Okay? Because look at this. In 60 minutes, you need to answer 40 questions. Of course, you have more time, but again, you have to consider you have three very long texts to read. And each text will come with about, say, 11, 12 questions. Okay, that will total up to 40 questions. And again, there's no, each question is worth 1 mark and no penalty for wrong answers. At least one of the text contains a detailed argument. So this is the Peng part, yeah, because the argument it will be written in a rather complicated way. So sometimes you may actually get mixed up. What is it? And especially when the questions will be written in a way that it is actually a paraphrase of the text. It doesn't give you the exact phrase. So you need to identify within that short time given. Enough to scare you already, right? Enough to scare you already. I'm sorry, I'm not scaring you. I'm just preparing you. Yeah, I'm preparing you. So if you think that listening is difficult, I want you to tweak it. I think that you should actually prepare more for reading, because a lot of time candidates do not do too well in this part because, like all of us, we do not read regularly these days. We do not read regularly these days. And worse still, we do not read for test purposes. So it's different. We always ask our students to do it, but we don't do it. So it's high time for you, if you're taking the test, to put yourself in your student's shoes and start doing the test, comprehension test, within the time given, right? And like I said, each text is about 700 to 900 words, long text, 12 to 17 questions for each passage. Not to worry about what text types. Okay, you don't have a choice. Whatever text types that come to you, you just have to answer. So over here, the strategy will be more on how to get information from the text and not to worry about what topic of the test is. All right. Yeah. Section 1 usually comes with 2 or 3 texts based on social situations with 13 questions. I think this one is for general training, right? Like just now is academic. Okay, academic, 700 to 900 words. I'm not too sure. Is anyone here planning to take general training? If you're not doing general training, then I might just skip explaining about general training because it's not going to be relevant to you. Is anyone here planning to do general training? Anyone? Hands up. Otherwise, I will focus more on academic module because I believe that is what majority of the people here would be more interested and more relevant to academic, all academics. So I'm going to skip the uh, general training part, but just to let you know, if you have option, why it is easier, because here 2 or 3 texts on social situations, they give you some advertisements and all this, and you answer questions. How nice. Yeah. So usually when I have a workshop of a mixed participants, some with general training and some with academic, all the academic candidates will be very envious of the general training test takers because they have an easier life in terms of.
Jackie, sorry.
Yeah.
Before you go for reading,
Yeah.
we have another question on acting
Yeah.
listening here
Which one is
from
better?
Diana.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have which one is better when listening, answering the question while listening, or listening until finish? Oh, no, 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 no. In IELTS, you have to really listen and answer at the same time because, especially for computer based, you don't get to listen to it again, I think. And if you're doing paper based, even though, yeah, you have 10 minutes to transfer your answer, but you won't listen to the text again. So there's no time to listen until the end, and then you want to go back to the question. No. And usually, yeah, the order of the questions will follow the order of the script or the audio text. So if you find that other candidates already flipped to the second page and you're still stuck on the first page, you have to pandai really go to the second page already because people have moved on. Okay, that's gone to the other questions already, so they won't repeat it for you. All right, Fauziana, is that clear? Yeah. Okay, I hope I answered the question. And for reading, this is I'm going to skip the how to read and all this because I don't think I have time for that. And IELTS reading test the ability to, so this is what you need to understand, the nature of the reading module of IELTS. Okay, it actually tests you on your overall understanding of the theme of the passage, what it is about. And then you need to sometimes predict the topic from the title or subheading. Now, this is the tricky part, yeah? They will give you a long list, let's say maybe 10 subheadings, and then in the passage there might be about only 8 paragraphs. So you need to actually match the heading to each paragraph, and they always give you 2 extras to confuse you. They give you 1 or 2 extra choices to confuse you. So I always find that quite challenging. Yeah, so be prepared for that. And sometimes the questions actually may come before the passage rather than after the passage. So you have to also watch out for that. Don't always assume, all our standard tests that we have done before, always the questions will come after the passage. No, in IELTS tests, sometimes the questions may come before the reading passage. And the prediction of topic from the title or subheading is one of them. right? And of course, you will need to read for gist and overall meaning, understand main ideas. But in IELTS, they will never ask you what is the main idea of this. They will rephrase it in such a way that you don't know that it's a main idea, but in actual fact, it actually tests you on your understanding of the main ideas. And of course, you will, you can't run away from the the standard reading skills assessment. They will test you on several things only: main idea, supporting details. Okay, but of course in IELTS test they test you a lot more on that. They also test you on identifying views, arguments, and claims. They need you to understand, this person, what is this person's opinion as opposed to the other person's opinion about the topic, and you need to understand that. And you might also follow a narrative and understand a summary, and also you need to spot synonyms and unpack paraphrase. I think this is very common in IELTS tests, in especially in listening and reading. Listening and reading consistently, you will come across questions that actually test you on words of similar meaning and paraphrase, because they work together. And sometimes you may be asked to also predict meaning from discourse markers. For example, they use therefore, you may have to predict, what actually comes after that. Okay, so in both academic and general training modules, you have to be prepared for this type of test question types. You have summary completion. They may summarize a particular maybe 2 or 3 paragraphs of the text. Okay, usually it's in a cluster. They don't jump, I take one paragraph 1 and then I summarize from paragraph 4 and then 5. No, it's always in the cluster of maybe paragraph 1, 2, 3, and then they give you a one short summary on that, and you have to actually fill in the blanks of the summary by looking for the information from the 3 paragraphs. All right, and sometimes you may have to get information. This is the typical thing, transferring information from linear to non-linear. You get the information from the text and you complete the flowchart. And note completion, right? It can come in a short notes and you have to complete it. And again, for this question type, you need to sometimes consider different word forms. For example, the word in the text is, let's say, a noun. You may have to change it to an adjective, or from a noun to a verb, or from a verb to an adverb, for example. Okay, yeah. Sentence completion and form completion and short answer questions. Okay, short answer questions. They will never ask you to write long answers. No, it's always short answers, and always watch out. Oh, another thing that I need to remind you for your reading and your listening is that always read the instructions first, especially for the filling in the blanks. Sometimes it comes with a requirement. You need to fill in not more than 3 words or not more than 2 words. You have to follow. If you answer, or if in your answer you give, say, 4 words, in fact the word limit is 3, it will be considered wrong. Okay, you can have less than, but not more than. Understand? Okay, everyone? Yep. All right.
Yes,
Okay.
very clear. Thank
Yeah.
you.
And you also have a lot of other question types. In fact, you cannot predict. You just have to work on these different types of questions to give you an idea of, the strategy for this type of question. How should I start first? Should I read the question first and go back to the text, or how should I go around it? You have to test yourself on various question types so that on that day when you're sitting for the actual test, you already know what it is. You already know what to do. It's like SOP. First thing, already, you go to a shop. Before anything, you have to take out your phone. You have to quickly click on your My Sejahtera app. It's like almost by default. So similarly, the more you practice, the more familiar you are with the entire process. So you can do it faster and also better. Okay? Yeah. Yeah, and another interesting type is the true, false, not given question. Also the memeningkan, because candidates always get confused between true, false, and not given. They say, hey, not given meaning false lah. No, it's not like that. Okay, not given means you cannot find any information in the text that supports that statement. Therefore, it's not given. You can't be sure whether it's true or false. But false means it says yes in the text, but it says no in the question. So that statement in the question is false. Okay, that's the way. Right. So that I will leave it to you when you attend. If you choose to attend the more intensive workshop, the trainer will tell you this in greater detail. But that is not really part of the main part of the talk today. Yeah. So I'm just giving you something extra. For example, like this. Okay. Yeah. True, false, not given. I'm going to run through these. I don't have time to go through this. Yeah. Now, what to prepare for your reading test? Ha ha ha. Make reading a daily habit. Read something. Not reading people's caption, yeah, on Instagram or whatever, or on their Instagram story, on their Twitter. Okay, it may help you, but it may not help you a lot for your IELTS test. You need to do a lot more. You need to get prepared for longer text. Therefore, you need to train your stamina and also focus power. It's not about, oh, I read more every day. I read Facebook, I read Twitter, I read Instagram, I read TikTok. That is not enough. There lah, reading Twitter daily. Unless Twitter comes with some articles, some articles that will be helpful for you, yes. But it is just like every people's individuals renting, or what they cook, or what they have them having a bad day. No, it's not going to help you. Okay, try to read the IELTS type material as well. Specifically the way the passage is chosen and written. Yeah, look at how the style of the passage, so that you're familiar with it, and not to get some kind of a shock on the actual day. Okay, when you're shocked, then you get panic, and then you just cannot focus, and there goes everything. Notice headings, subtitles, pictures, and keywords in whatever you read. So keywords always come in a form of nouns. So don't focus on words like I, you, we, they, he, she, it, that kind of thing. They are important. It's just that they are not all that important in the first reading. Yeah. So focus on the keywords. That means you look at words or phrases that appear many times in a passage, again and again. So that would also give you that is important. Okay, become aware of linking words and how they function across the text, especially words that give you like a change in the argument. For example, they say yes in the first instance, and after say however, then you know that, oh, this is something different already. They're saying something opposite. So you have to be aware of all these changes or transitions in the text. Learn to scan for specific details. That one you have to go back and cari back. Go and think back. Think about your previous English lecturers. Yeah, and get some memories from there. Scanning and skimming. See? That's why I've always told my students from diploma, degree, whatever, from diploma, even part one, I told them, do not even look down on what you're learning today, yeah, in diploma, because you will have to use that in a very long future down the road. You wouldn't know when. So yeah, IELTS is here. Anyone regretting now? Never pay attention in ELC class? Anyone? Anyone who start to miss their ELC English lecturers? Yeah? Can chit chat a bit or not? I'm tired of talking about IELTS already. Yeah? Anyone here who miss? Okay, Shafika say, yeah, I miss my English classes now. Yeah, like I said, I've always told my students, okay, you might need that in your PhD, when you're doing your postgrad, your whatever. So IELTS is one of them. When you see that, oh no, I should have paid more attention. Yeah. All these skills will come back, because these are the basic reading skills, very basic reading skills that form the foundation of comprehension. Yeah. Yeah, use word building techniques. You might want to read more to to increase your, to actually beef up your word banks. Okay, not only fatten your bank accounts, but you must also fatten up your word banks. Okay, not only for reading but also for your writing. No, I'm not too sure about keeping a vocabulary book, but it doesn't work for me. But I think reading more would actually help. Okay. All right. And before the test, be familiar. I hope I have given you some idea what it is, but you might want to find out more on your own. Practice reading tasks under exam conditions. So this is very important. Don't give yourself the false sense of, okay, I have 2 days to finish this particular section. I do 1 question a day, or I answer 3 questions a day. I feel very achieved already. Don't do that. Now, usually what they advise, the in my workshops, I always advise is the test takers or the potential test takers that you have 60 minutes and 3 sections. 60 minutes, 3 sections. So how much time should you spend on each section? Quick calculation again. How much time should you spend on each section?
20 minutes maximum.
After 20 minutes, move on to the next section, even though you have some questions that you haven't answered. Make sure you cover all the 3 sections, because if you don't do that, you might not really get the marks that you need, the band that you need, because you haven't answered all the questions. Okay, so you need to answer for 1 section, just spend 20 minutes. Cannot finish, move on to the next one. Cannot finish, move to the next one. At the end, whatever little time you have left, go and do the damage control. Don't spend 40 minutes on 1 section and you don't have time for the other 2 sections. Remember, for reading and listening, you see the way they arrange the text and also the questions is from easy to difficult. So the more you can go towards the end, meaning your band score will be higher. That is how they differentiate from band 3, band 5 to band 8 candidates. For band 3, probably you spend 50 minutes on section 1, the easier one, but then you don't even have time. Even that shows that you're even for the easy one, you're already struggling. So that means that would rate you at basic user or something. Understand? Got it? So even for listening, you miss it, don't bother looking back, move forward. And after everything, when you have extra time, go back to the question and start to, okay, whatever God help me, and try to guess whatever and put in the answer. That's all. Time. Speed reading is so important. Speed is so important for your IELTS test. Even for MUET, it's the same. Yeah, but for MUET, I think listening, they are very, very kind. They let you listen to it 2-3 times. This one is only 1 time. Yeah. So reading is like that. And also read all the rubrics carefully, like I said, because sometimes they will need you to put in like 2 words, 3 words for listening as well. So read the rubrics carefully and comply with the requirements. Yeah, like I said, divide the time. And in 3-4 minutes, this is a breakdown la agak-agak. You spend about 1-2 minutes quickly, skim through the text, do a preview of the text, and then you quickly go to the questions, read the questions, and then go back to the text and look for the information. And that kind of strategy, you need at least a very intensive workshop, hands-on workshop to help you. Okay, I can't cover it in this webinar. All right. Yeah, but we usually cover that in our workshop. So this is why, IDP has decided to offer you the opportunity to join their intensive workshop at a discounted rate. All right. Now, academic writing. Do you need a break? Do you need a break? Do you need to just to clear something first before you can put in more? For IELTS computer-based, is the marking done by computer or by manual? It depends. For writing, it's always by a certified examiner. Writing is always a certified examiner. For reading and listening, it's not. I am not too sure. That's why previously they used to, before it's computerized, it was used. They used to get the some kind of certified test administrators to mark, but yeah, now I'm not too sure. Okay, no, no break because you're fasting. Okay, great. Okay, no problem. All right, I can move on. No problem. Yeah. Okay, for academic writing, another round of challenge. Ding ding. After, and there's no break. Yeah, no break for this webinar and on during your IELTS test also no break. Yeah, you will go from listening. You will go from listening to reading to writing. They won't let you like, okay, you go 10 minutes toilet break. No, there's no toilet break. So if you choose to go to the toilet, you are actually using your own test time. Understand? Yeah. So moral of the story, what do you learn from there? Don't drink too much water. Don't drink too much water on that day of the test. Okay? Or
Or
don't,
fasting.
huh?
Or fasting on the day.
No. I'm talking about the test day.
Yalah. We purposely
Oh, you're fasting.
fasting.
Fasting cannot lah. Then you
Purposely.
fasting your Peng as well lah. If you're too hungry, also cannot focus. But also try
Yeah.
not to eat something too challenging that doesn't agree with your stomach lah on that day, please. Or you might want to, you may need to spend like 15 minutes in the toilet, then there goes. You don't have time to finish your test. Really, I'm not joking. Now that's a practical tip, okay? Because there's no extra time for toilet, yeah? For toilet break, no. You probably have the break after the you're probably too nervous to eat or drink. You will only get the break after writing. So now only after writing, submitted everything, then only you're relaxed. And then you can go for your speaking test. Okay. So for writing, there are 2 tasks in 60 minutes. This is another monster, yeah. Uh look at this. Peng San or not? Task 1, 20 minutes. You have to team already. You have to finish it within 20 minutes, ideally. If not, the most I always tell my workshop participants, I'll give you only 5 more minutes. Okay, either this 25, 35. If you can keep to 20 is the best. Never 30, 30. You know why? Look at this. Task 2 is worth more marks. So if you spend 40 minutes in task 1 and you don't have enough time for task 2, you're still not going to get the band that you need because task 2 actually gives you more marks. So you need to spend your time wisely. 20 minutes for task 1, 40 minutes for task 2. Understand? And for academic writing, task 1 requires you to write a description of at least 150 words based on material found in a chart, table, graph, or diagram. And task 2 needs you to write a typical essay, argumentative essay or descriptive essay, depends on your luck on that day, what topic comes up, of at least 250 words. Looks very easy, 150 words. One day I can write, 3,000 words on my Twitter or on my Facebook page already. But that's different because 150 words requires you to write very technical type of writing. That is the challenge for academic writing, for the academic writing module in IELTS. Task 1, they need you to write a very technical piece of writing to describe a specific chart or graph. Not only that it's technical, but the difficulty of the technicality of it also comes with the type of stimulus you're getting on that day. Whether you're lucky enough to get a very simple table, just numbers, nothing, or you get a very complicated maps or layout for you to compare. You cannot predict. Okay, some lucky people may get very simple 2 pie charts. Okay, easy. Just look at the pie chart and compare. Some people get line graph. Some people get the bar chart. Some people, the unlucky one would probably get the more challenging one, maps or layouts. Okay, so again, you can use either British and American spellings, but you have to choose only one. If you're using British English, use that throughout your writing. If you choose to use American spellings, then just American spelling throughout. Okay? So task 1, minimum of 150 words. You need to spend about 20 minutes only. Overall, what is happening or changing? You need to find a trend. You need to look at the trend and ask yourself, what is the change? What are the differences? What are the changes that you see in the charts or graphs or even the maps? You need to write that in a very objective, descriptive, not descriptive. Descriptive is quite dangerous. When I say descriptive, sometimes, candidates tend to write something like a travel brochure like that. No. It is about describe the trends in a very objective and clear manner. So, like I said, you might actually get chart, pie chart, bar chart, graph, line graph, table, even line graph. Sometimes they can give you something rather complicated line graph, where the zigzag one. So you'll be thinking, so how am I going to compare all this in 150 words? That you have to think about. Okay, table, a process of a map, sometimes a flow chart. Sometimes it's a process, how to, I like to give my workshop candidate this challenges, this specific task about the process of producing fish pie in a long process of producing fish pie in a factory, and also the supply chain after that. You have to run 150 words. Interesting or not? Yeah, interesting. Wonderful, isn't it? Not 3 tables of lao bao, yeah. It's 3 tables of numbers or whatever for you to compare. So that's quite a handful. Yeah, a big challenge. Or it can be a group of similar or like objects. It can be anything in a graphic form. Yeah. And yeah, for example, like this. Yeah, the typical type of line graph. The line graph below shows changes in the amount and type of fast food consumed by Australian teenagers from 1975 to 2000. Summarize the information by selecting and reporting the main features. So here, you have to consider, first thing when you get this is to actually read this, understand this, and then understand this. And then quickly identify the key trends, the ups and downs, the similarity, the plateau. So those are the trends that you need to highlight in your 150 words. And also you need to pay attention to the mechanism, the writing mechanism. You need to have the proper format. You need to write in paragraphs. You need to write in paragraphs, not in point forms or bullet forms or number. You need to write in paragraphs, meaning you need to have the introduction, you need to have the body, you need to have the conclusion. Again, anyone is missing the English teacher miserably now?
Miss Jackie, I think
Yes, yeah, I know. Yeah, okay. Puan
okay.
Khadijah. Is it Puan Khadijah or Cik Khadijah?
Okay.
Dr. Khadijah, I don't know. Yes. Sure. Just ask questions.
Can unmute the mic, yeah.
Khadijah, anything that you'd like to ask?
Or accidentally
Maybe.
click the button.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I accidentally clicked the button.
Okay. So you don't have any question?
Oh, okay.
No.
Oh, okay. I thought you have
Okay,
any question.
sorry.
No problem. And
What about Dr. Nur Azhar?
Dr. Nur
Sorry.
Azhar, any question?
I think Dr. Nur Azhar also raised a hand.
Hi.
Yep.
It's me again. Can you just go back to the previous slide? Is that all right?
Okay, sure.
Right. So if I were to attempt this is me just doing it on the go at this moment. So the introduction is just saying that there are 3 there are pizza, hamburgers, and fish and chips. So probably that will be the
introduction.
Introduction, yep. And then I would say on the second part is that pizza is plateauing from 95 to 2000, and then after that the fish and chips are going, a downward trend from 1985 to 2000, and then after that what's picking up is the hamburgers. And probably is it even make sense if I were to justify why? like probably fish and chips are like more expensive, or I don't know. So it's a genuine question.
No,
Oh,
no, 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 no.
Okay.
Do not. Good question. All right. In this 150 words, don't waste your energy and time to justify, to say, in my humble opinion or not so humble opinion, this is this.
Mhm. Yeah.
I agree or disagree. No agree or disagree. That one, you leave it to task 2.
Okay, understood.
This
All
one
right.
is very straightforward. What you see, you write.
Okay.
Don't speculate, why people eat more fish, why people don't eat that much of hamburger, don't. But you may actually talk about this as your last line, the conclusion, the general statement, like this is the generalization of everything. You can, but again, that is optional. That is
Okay.
optional. If you have time, then yes. If you don't have time, then don't. Because,
Understood.
yeah. Okay. And introduction is more than that. Introduction, usually I will ask my candidate to just paraphrase this.
Oh,
That's the easy.
paraphrase it.
That's the
Okay.
easiest way. That's the easiest way. Paraphrase
Mm-hmm.
this.
Mm-mm.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Mm-mm.
Don't waste time. Think of nowadays in this globalized era and all this. No need to write long. Okay, it's very
Okay.
very short. All
Yeah.
right. So something like that. But again, I cannot focus on details like this. Oh my goodness, where am I? Where have I gone to? Okay, here. Are you still seeing the slides? Is that okay?
Yes, yes. Thank you so much. Yes.
Okay. All right. And you may actually come across things like this. I hope you don't. You're more familiar with this, right? If you come across this, you're probably like, yippee, yeah, I know what to do. But if you come across this, not that you don't know, but it is probably not something that you usually talk about. But if those from engineering faculty would be very happy to see this, if it is a process, because they do this quite often.
I would die, I think.
I don't know. Don't die, okay? Just do more practice. All right. So yeah, in this case, you may actually get this. You don't know, right? Sometimes it can even be, a map, 2 maps. They show you the same maps, 2 different maps of a place of a same place, and the transformation before and after. You have to compare, right? Okay. So academic writing sample task 2. It's something like this, very straightforward. But you have to be careful. Some people actually don't do quite well in their writing task 2 because they actually misunderstand the question, or they leave out some of the requirements of the question. So you have to actually read very carefully and address each part of the question fully in your writing. So over here it says, university student graduates can earn more than less well-educated members of the community. So it is fair for them to pay the full cost of their own studies. To what extent do you agree or disagree with this statement? So this question asks you to what extent. So you can choose. You can choose 30% agree, 70% disagree, or 70% agree, 30% disagree. My advice is always choose one over the other. Don't choose the 50-50 because I find it more difficult to write. You may have to write more. So if you choose 70 over 30, right, 170, 130, that means you may just focus on 2 points for agree because you agree more, right? So you have 2 points for agree and 1 point to disagree. Understand? That's a quick tip lah. Case because I also come across candidate who question me, sorry, not candidates, participants who question me, why can't I do 50-50? You can, but 50-50 means you have to write 4 paragraphs, 2 versus 2. So you choose the easier way lah. Why cari pasal, right? Yes or no? Agree? Please raise hands. I want to make sure that all of you are still here. Yeah, don't cari pasal. You choose the easier way. If you have an option, an easier option, go for the easier option in the test. Okay, don't cari pasal with your money. Okay. All right, general training, don't see because your heart will ache because it's so easy. Something like this. They even give you the points. You just explain in the letter. All right. So that is general training, but not relevant to you. Right? So task 2 counts twice as much as task 1. So it says always do task 2 first here in this slide, but I personally think that it is up to you. You feel some people actually work better if they try to get rid of the challenging one first. They find that task 1 is so susah, so I want to really get rid of it so that it's like one stress less. You can do that. And then you just focus on your task 2, in which you can write better in a more relaxed mood. You can, or the vice versa. So it's up to you. But whatever it is, bear in mind, more time should be spent on task 2, less time on task 1. Got it? Yeah. So just now you saw the sample, but here I'm going more specifically on the different question type of academic task 2. Academic task 1 is very straightforward. Whatever graph you see, you have to do that. And just be careful, yeah. Some people like to memorize. Never memorize. Okay, let's say you memorize a model answer in task 1 for a line graph, for example. But in your test, you actually get pie charts. Can you use the same way to write? Can you use the same way to compare?
No, I don't think so.
No, you cannot. So, when you memorize, the examiners are all trained examiners. They will be able to identify that. They will say, oh, this one clearly memorized from other essay type. So you get very low marks for that. Okay. And you see, like line graph, the language that you use to describe the differences is different. And pie charts, you don't really compare them in terms of the changes. Rather, you compare them in terms of the proportion. The proportion rather than the differences. Got it? So you have to be very careful, and you must know how to change from this to that. Right, writing task 2, you may come across opinion essay like, do you agree or disagree? Or discuss both views and positions and give your opinion sometimes. So you have to address, and you have to actually read very carefully. Do not rely on just one sample essay that you have come across and say, oh, all of the topics will be the same. No, they change. Sometimes they give you this option. Do you agree or disagree? So here, which do you think is the easiest way? 100% or 50% or 70-30? If you come across this question, I'm doing a very quick quiz here. Which position do you think is easier to write? You choose 100% agree and 100% or 100% disagree, or you choose 50-50 or 70-30? Because over here it doesn't ask you to what extent, might ask you, do you agree or disagree?
70-30. That's my opinion.
Really? But for me, it is easier to choose I fully agree.
Oh,
Or I
okay.
fully disagree, because it doesn't give you any option to what extent. You don't have to show the extent. I agree with this. Then you don't give all agree lah. Because if you change to disagree or you mix them, again you have to look into the aspect of transition markers. You have to use those transition markers to show the change in your argument. And it doesn't really give you more marks,
More difficult, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's more headache for you. So yeah, it's called SMART. SMART tricks. And it says discuss both views and positions. I'm not too sure whether it comes with this with the question type or not. Let me see. Yeah. Okay, here. All right. Hang on, yeah. Okay, just a very quick one. Later on, when we look at the sample, I will show you how. Discuss both views and vehicles. Okay, so I'm going to skip this. No point looking at this. Sometimes you do not need to give an opinion, but sometimes you have to. So depends. Therefore, it's advised here that you need to read the questions carefully and be sure you're discussing the opinion, not the fact. Okay, you're discussing the opinion. Over here is different. You have to look at the opinion. Therefore, you can use your word, the phrases like "in my opinion" or whatever. Not just go straight forward. Yeah, this is this, that, this, that. All right. So, for example, here, general training sample. Doesn't matter. Okay, here. Some countries charge foreign visitors a higher price than residents to visit museums and important cultural attractions. To what extent? So this is the same as what we talked about just now. To what extent do you agree with this practice? So you can say, when you see extent, that means you have to look at the 70-30 or 60-40 already. Yeah. Okay. And you have to make sure that you cover both agree and disagree in your essay. Now, examine both sides. Some people think children in secondary school should study international news as part of the curriculum. Others think that this would be a waste of time as there are already too many subjects for children to concentrate on. Discuss both views and give your own opinion. So this one is quite tricky, yeah? And this is the one question type that very likely to lead the candidates astray. They may actually just talk about this and forget about this or won't have time for this. Or they talk very little about this and give this a lot. You need to give a very balanced treatment to all these things. So discuss both views. That means you have to talk about view number one. Some people think that children in secondary school should study international news as part of the curriculum. You need to explain why people think that way. And then you have to discuss another view. Others think that this would be a waste of time as there are already too many subjects for children to concentrate on. You need to discuss this as well. And then only you give your opinion. Which is better? You have to capture three things. Any question? Is that clear? Yes, Nur Shikin. Shikin? Shikin?
I think she raised hand for your question just now.
Oh, okay, great. Okay, no problem.
Yeah.
All right, so this one is yeah, clear, right? Okay. And disadvantages and advantages, this one sounds very our secondary school type, but you have to be very careful. Sometimes whatever that is from a secondary school might actually mislead us. So read again. One of the consequences of improved medical care is that people are living longer and life expectancies are increasing. Do the advantages of this development outweigh the disadvantages? So it is not exactly about what are the advantages and disadvantages, but rather you need to give your opinion whether or not the advantages of this development outweigh the disadvantages. So it's a yes or no question. It doesn't ask you to it doesn't ask you what are the advantages and disadvantages of this, but rather the question asks you, is it yes or no? So again, it's more like agree or
Disagree.
disagree. You see? Be careful. And you have these very direct questions. This one is quite rare, but if you're lucky, you might get this. Many old buildings protected by law are part of a nation's history. Some people think they should be knocked down and replaced by new ones. How important is it to maintain old buildings? So you need to address, you need to highlight the importance. And then you have to answer another question. Don't, get carried away by this. You have to also deal with this. Should history stand in the way of progress? Then your opinion, yes or no? So you must understand the question. In other words, in task 2, it's always very important for you to understand this question rather than forming your own happiness or, shockness. Oh, about old buildings, I know my architecture is my line. I know what to do already. Then you start writing all about old buildings. Finished. Okay, because it also asks you about history. All right. Okay, so what to do for writing task 2? Analyze. Analyze what? Analyze what?
Have to analyze the
The
question.
question.
Yeah, analyze the question. Analyze the question, and then the best thing is to circle the different parts. Circle the different parts of the, or number the different parts of the question. 1, 2, 3. Then you know already in your writing you need to deal with this 1, 2, 3 things, so that you don't miss out any. Okay, and then you plan how to arrange that 1, 2, 3, and then number 3, you write. I'm not too sure about you have time to check your writing. If you're a very good writer, very efficient writer, effective writer, you might have time to check your writing. That would be good. But if not, then just focus on writing and complete it. It's very important for you to have the head and the tail. Don't just write very, very impressive head, introduction, beautiful, body okay, and then no tail, no closing. Then, I'm sorry to say, your essay might be just around not more than band 6. May not be more than band 6. Okay? Yeah? Okay, so I'm gonna skip this because I don't think I have time. I still have the speaking part to go. Essentially, for your writing, they will focus on your task achievement. How well does the essay answer the question? So this especially for both their task 1 and task 2, and also they will count your words. Yeah, don't waste your time counting. Yeah, my dears, don't waste your time counting how many words and then put there. Some candidates like to cheat. They write 120 words. They write that 160 words. The examiners do count. Yeah, the examiners do count one by one. Yeah, so don't waste your time. Let the examiners do the job of counting. Your job is to make sure that you have written everything in full. Okay, coherence and cohesion, meaning your paragraphing, your the linkers and all this, and then also the progression, whether the introduction looks like an introduction and the conclusion looks like a conclusion. Yeah, there's a progression from the beginning to end. Yeah. And lexical resources, of course, your choice of words. Don't just focus on those, our Malaysian writers like to say bombastic word. Forget about that. You don't have to impress, especially if you don't even know the meaning of the words. Don't use, because if you use that wrongly, it will backfire. Okay, use simple and correct words or phrases. You can throw in some rather sophisticated idiomatic expressions, but they are actually quite cliche, especially if you don't use them in the right place. They will even look more awkward. Okay, so try not to do that. Yeah, is the writer using less common lexical items such as idioms or collocations? So for Azhar, Band 8, Band 8,
Yes.
sorry to say,
Yes.
this will be required.
Okay.
But don't try to go and memorize all the peribahasa, simpulan bahasa and put in.
Yep.
It's about you being able to synthesize those phrases rather skillfully and sophisticatedly in your text, and they make sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Grammatical range and accuracy. Your favorite person, grandma, is here. Of course, they will look at the grammar. Whether you're using the correct tenses, subject and verbs to agree, and even punctuation. Oh, forget to say lexical resources, even spelling. Spelling can be a problem, yeah? Grammatical range, even punctuation. Your dots and comma and all these do count. And the question the examiner asks will always be, what percentage of the sentences are error-free? They won't focus too much on your errors, but they will try to see how many are error-free. So give them the pleasure of having that, more error-free sentences. Okay? So in other words, the 4 criteria: getting the task and sticking to the data, Yeah, getting to the task, planning and writing coherently in the time given. So plan your time well, having the right vocabulary to match the task. Like I said, especially for task one, don't go and memorize the wrong set of vocabulary for the wrong type of stimulus. And having the grammar and syntax to produce a coherent answer. As even for task one, yeah, even 150 words, very simple thing. You look at this. Let me go back to where is it? Let's say this one. Where is it? Task one. Never mind. Let's say, okay, I'm just going to come up with something. Let's say it says that this chart describe the use of computers among teenagers from year 2000 to 2000 to 2019. Should you use simple past tense, present tense, or future tense in your writing? The use of computers among teenagers from the year 2000 from the year 2000 to 2019. So in your essay, should you use predominantly simple present tense, simple past tense, or future tense?
Simple past tense.
Predominantly.
Yeah.
Except for the introduction, where you paraphrase the rubric. So predominantly it is simple past tense, unless in your conclusion you plan to put in a line of prediction. You may say in the future. Then you have to change to future tense. So you have to actually look at the year. When you look at task one, first thing, actually I've told my workshop candidates, first thing, remind yourself, look at the year of the chart and mark there clearly what are the tenses that you need to use so that you don't get carried away or you don't mix and match. Right. Okay, I still have about 20 minutes for speaking. I'm not too sure whether I have time for Q&A, but we can actually extend a little bit if you're okay. I'm okay with that. Or you need to go for prayers, and I don't know. Okay, speaking is very straightforward, yeah? It's 11 to 14 minutes face-to-face, minimum 11, yeah? The examiner will try to keep the conversation going for 11 minutes unless the candidate say, I give up, I don't want to speak. After 9 minutes or 8 minutes, the candidate say, I don't want to speak already. Then too bad. It has to be ended before 11 minutes. But otherwise, the examiner will try to prolong it to 11 minutes if the candidate is not very responsive, and will end at 14 minutes even if the candidate is very highly excited and talks a lot. By 13.50 or 59 minute, the examiner will say, thank you. That means shut up. Understand? Yeah. So they won't allow you to go more than that because everything is recorded and will be audited. So if it give you more time than that, then the test will be rendered non-standard. Yeah, so they're very pretty strict about it. Now, part one, introduction and interview. Now, this is a typical getting to know you session. I'll let you loosen up a little bit. So ask you about it's all scripted. Yeah, it's all scripted. That means the examiner will have the script in front of them, read out and ask you questions. Okay. And then you have part two. Candidate speaks in uninterrupted for 2 minutes on a given topic. You cannot choose the topic. The examiner will choose for you. And you have 1 minute to prepare what you want to say. No time for you to write everything out, so you can only write an outline. Prepare an outline of what you want to speak. So usually you just come up with about 2 to 3 main points. 2 to 3 main points, and try to, for each point, you extend it. You explain, you describe, to fulfill that time, that 2 minutes of solo. 2 minutes of solo. During that 2 minutes, the examiner will just be looking at you and smiling. The examiner will never interrupt. Okay. And after that is a two-way discussion where the candidate is asked to participate in a discussion of a more abstract nature, but the topic is usually related to whatever topic that you get in part 2. Let's say in part 2, you get a topic about sports. Then part 3 will also be about sports, but in a more abstract manner. Got it? Yep. So in speaking, you need to be able to listen to and read task information in order to complete the task. So when the examiner says something or reads out the question, listen carefully. Don't keep on asking, huh? Can you repeat? Can you repeat? Because time is ticking. If you keep repeating, meaning you might not be able to finish all the 3 parts within the time given. And the examiner will only repeat it twice. The third time, the examiner will skip to the next question already because no time to lose. Understand? All right. Speaking part 1 interview, the examiner will ask you something about these are the day-to-day, very general topics like work, studies, home, and you need to provide the answer. Usually very short answers, yeah? Very short answers. And you can extend it like why you like it, why you don't like it. Okay, but usually it's quite short. And then you have speaking part 2. Okay, something like that. This is part 1. Part 2, long term. Part 1, I'm not too into, I don't think you should worry too much about part 1 because it's all very scripted and you'll be guided by the examiner. Part 2 is long term, in which you're given the topic and then you will have 1 minute to prepare. So use that time well and give yourself an idea what you're going to write and what you're going to talk about. And then you'll be timed for 2 minutes to speak. You'll be assessed for 2 minutes to talk about the topic. Okay, and lastly, you have part 3. Okay, for example, here, describe a party you have attended. So you just come up with a party lah. Now some people say, hey, Miss Jacqueline, what if I've never attended a party? What should I say? I have nothing to say. Don't do that lah. I'm sure you have watched movies and all this, right? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sure you also, curi go and look at Hyun Bin and Hee Jin's wedding, right? So some kind of party. So you can just describe lah. You make it as though it's your own party. Don't worry. Now this is the only part when you're allowed to lie and cheat. Nobody questions you. Make up stories. Don't say that I've never been that. I've never done that. I cannot say no. Okay? Because you do not want to waste time. So quickly come up with, I watched this before, I've seen this before. So use that scene or use that experience to talk about, right? No one can question whether it's true or is right or not. It's true or it's not true. Right? So at the end of 2 minutes, the examiner stops the candidate by saying, thank you, IE, shut up. Okay. But of course, they won't be this rude. They will always say thank you. And then there'll be 2 rounding off questions. If you have time, then if not, then it will go to part 3. Yeah. So part 3, like I said, the topic will also be the same thing. So you see from parties, may talk about weddings. Yeah. So Hyun Bin and Hee Jin's wedding, for example. Yeah, so is marriage today not about Hyun Bin and Hee Jin, but is marriage today considered more or less important than it was in the past? So you should be able to talk about that. Yeah, or do people spend too much money on weddings these days? Yep. All right. So yeah, again, what you are being rated in your speaking test would be fluency and coherence. That means whether you're able to go on without difficulty. Do you pause many times? And even if you pause, are you able to carry on? Is your speech disjointed? Is it coherent or not? And then your lexical resources, that means the words that you use, are they correct? Do you use the same word again and again? Or you're able to come up with different words of the same meaning to express yourself? Okay, and then your grammatical range and accuracy, whether you have you use very short sentences, very basic sentences, complicated sentences, but still correct, or all wrong. So yeah, pronunciation. I know a lot of people will be interested in pronunciation. So what should I say? Should I speak like a British? Should I speak like Hugh Grant? Or should I say Allah? Or is Kelantanese English accepted? Now, it doesn't matter, right? Accent is not important, but it's about clarity. That means every word that you say sounds like English. The other party can understand the meaning of your word. That is pronunciation. Even chunking, like chunking is something like this. I don't express myself in this way. Today I'm going to, and then I stop, talk about. I don't stop like that. So that is wrong chunking. It's also considered a flaw. Okay. Even your stresses, like very typical development, photograph, photographer or photographer. Yeah. By right, it should be photographer. Yeah. So if you cannot produce that, meaning you might not be at the higher band, something like that. Understand?
Yes,
Yeah.
understand.
So is the candidate able to speak at length on a topic, giving a well-organized answer with reasons and or examples? Content is not so important, but rather it's more about your fluency, your responsiveness to the questions, and your ability to carry on the conversation without much difficulty, and also you're able to produce clear and coherent speech. Yeah, don't put up accents. Yeah, don't put up accents. Don't try to speak like the American when you're not, or even worse still if you can't and you're trying to. So don't attempt that in the test. You can do that in your TikTok, but don't do it in the test. Understand? And also try to minimize words like. I know that these days people like to use like, but the test doesn't really like too many likes, especially the meaningless likes. Is the candidate able to speak without repeating himself or herself or correcting himself or herself? Yep. So those are the things that will be assessed. Okay. So grammatical range, pronunciation, like I said. Yep. Okay. So speak at length and produce a fluent and coherent answer. Like I said, having the right vocabulary, and then having the grammar and syntax to produce a coherent answer, and having clear and acceptable pronunciation and good phonological control. Like, for example, if I were to ask you, what accent am I using here? Can you pinpoint? Do I have an accent even? Do I have an accent?
I don't think so.
But is the speech clear?
Yes, very clear. Yeah, I could understand.
This is what I mean. Comprehensiveness. All right, I don't have time to show you the test example, but you can actually Google, speaking test Javier, Javier. I can actually share with you the link here, but I don't think I have time to show it here, so you can actually watch that in your own time. Yep. And then you have an idea, a better idea of how the speaking test is run. Right, so tips and strategies for listening. Let's capture before we go to the Q&A session. Go back to listening. Of course, you have to pay attention to the instructions. Listen to the instructions as well. Don't let your mind wander off. Keywords, instructions, and questions will give you enough keywords to guide you towards the important information. And also the time. Yeah, this is something that is important. Yeah, they always give you 30 minutes to read the questions. Not 30 minutes, 30 seconds to read the questions and 30 seconds to check the answers, and you move on. Usually, before they play the text, before they play the audio, they will give you 30 seconds to read the questions, and please use that time to read the questions and not looking here, there, looking at what other people are doing. Don't kepo. Focus on the questions. All right. That 30 seconds is for you to mark the keywords and understand the questions. And then after you have answered that set of questions, they will also give you 30 seconds to check the answers. Okay. Our advice to the potential test takers would be use these 30 seconds to combine with the next 30 seconds to read the new sets of questions to give yourself more time, because this 30 seconds is pointless for you to check back the answer. How are you going to check? Do you have anything to check against? Do you have anything to check against?
Unfortunately, no, because it's only played once, right?
Yeah, that's why I said. That's why I said this one is like a bonus point for you, bonus time for you. So don't waste that on checking, because after that, don't forget, especially for paper-based, you have 10 more minutes to check. Use that time to check, not during the test to check. Use that 30 seconds to combine with the next coming up 30 seconds to read more carefully of the next set of questions. All right, and look out for or listen out for signpost words, stress and intonation. Answer all questions because you have paid for that. Sayang your money, okay? And check out, be careful with the spelling, right? And for reading, yeah, again, the same thing. Watch out for the instructions. Make sure you spend only 20 minutes for each section and mark the keywords. Practice skimming and scanning, and also go back to Google or go and dream about your previous English teachers to know more about paraphrasing, because this is a big part of IELTS test. And answer all questions. Also, spelling is important, right? And writing, always instructions and rubrics. And make sure you spend only 20 minutes for task 1 and 40 minutes for task 2. Okay, and look out for keywords in your instructions and also the questions. And speed. Do this in the quickest time possible. Make sure you finish everything within this time, right? And make sure, like I said, you must have introduction, body, and conclusion. Spelling and legibility. Or if you write, if it's not computer-based, for goodness sake, please have mercy on the examiners who are marking like thousands and thousands of scripts. Please write legibly. Please write legibly, and please refrain from writing everything in capital letters. Okay, don't do that. Not that the mark will be deducted, it's just that it makes reading very difficult for the examiners if everything is written in capital letter. Okay, not so much about Malaysian writers, but I think, the Middle Eastern writers or some other countries, they are so used to writing in capital letters or block letters. Yeah. Readiness for speaking. Be ready to speak. Be responsive, okay? Don't be like, waiting for the examiner to pry some gold out from your mouth, because the more the examiner speaks, meaning you actually produce less output, speech output for the examiner to rate or to assess you. So you probably have less marks. And make sure you're relaxed, okay? And always say something and elaborate. Don't just say, yes, I like, I don't like. Yeah, explain why you like, why you don't like. Pace your speech, don't speak too fast, and make sure you have this rise and false intonation. And if you come across something important, you might want to stress it, like now. And be polite, even though some candidates might have taken the test 3-4 times, and unfortunately you have to do the entire test 3-4 times. Always, when it comes to speaking, be nice to the examiner. Don't show a face that I have done this before, so what, shoot. Be polite. And presentation, in terms of your sorry, something similar. I've spoken too much. The way you dress, don't wear torn jeans, singlet and all this to the test. Of course, there's no dress code, but then again, it's a test. Yeah. So you might want to wear something that is proper. And be punctual, be early. Even for your listening test, it's the first test. Now, if you're late, you will go into the hall huffing and puffing, and then you cannot focus, and they won't wait for you. They will just play the text right away, and you will probably be, because of your unpreparedness, you may actually miss some parts of the test, of the questions. Okay, so be punctual. Right, so general tips and strategies. Plan the test dates, be prepared, and consistent practice, like I said. And last tip, go and sign up for a proper workshop if you have the time before the test. It's advisable. I strongly encourage you to take the intensive workshop, because it gives you more hands-on and more detailed explanation of each question type, which will be very helpful for you to prepare for the test. Okay, all right. So yeah, like I said, don't forget to send in your attendance, because IDP, the IDP office will check the registration of your this workshop registration based on your attendance of this workshop, of this webinar. So make sure your name appears on our record, right? So I hope Dr. Wawa has already sent the workshop link. Sorry, the attendance link. Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So we will send a copy. We will send a copy of this record to IDP, and they will check your registration, if you plan to, against the list that we share with them. So if you really have attended this webinar, then you'll be eligible for the 350 ringgit discount, the 100 ringgit discount. Okay, so that's that. What are the questions then? Are there any questions? Yes, Azza.
Okay, so I think we can straight away open for the
Yeah.
Q&A session. I think
Yeah.
Dr. Noazah already raised the hand.
You know, my test is on the 9th of May. So I'm Googling the IELTS IDP workshop, and there is a workshop that falls on inshallah 25th to 27th of April. And the last date of register is 18th April. So
Okay.
I am I do not know whether the luck is on my side. I could join
Okay.
that workshop.
All right. Please, how should I say? Can you send your details to me, to my email, and then I'll probably forward that to the IDP person, and then maybe they might consider.
Yeah.
They might consider. You wouldn't know. Yeah, because you're a special case. You're in a hurry.
Yes,
Yeah.
unfortunately,
So
yes.
it's a virtual workshop. Yeah, so it doesn't matter where you are. It's a virtual workshop.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, that will be good. Yes, thank you so much. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so it's a 3 half-day workshop. Let's see, no guarantee, but I'll try. Okay, I'll try. You write to me, and I'll probably give you the contact number of the person in charge. Then you can talk to them. Okay.
Okay, thank you so much.
All right, you're welcome. Any question? Any other question?
Miss Jacqueline, actually, it's a request from a participant from YouTube. Is it possible to get the slide?
The slide, unfortunately not. This is copyrighted by IDPIL, so we cannot really share. Even I also need to get permission. Yeah, so you can always review from the YouTube lah. I'm so sorry. I cannot share the slides. I cannot, because these are all copyrighted ones. That's why it bears the logo. Yeah. Okay, I'm so sorry. Yeah. Other than British Council, IELTS, IDP. IDP is another official IELTS provider. You can consider IDP. So you have options. Okay, IDP has different branches as well. So you can check their website, and you can. The fee is usually the same. It's quite standard, but the workshop might not be. Where is what? Rosnalina? Same fee. Yeah. The fee is the same. For IELTS test is the same. But workshop, not too sure, because the duration might be different, and also the nature might be different. For British Council, if I'm not mistaken, theirs is not the intensive one. Theirs is the rather it's like a program. It's like a course on its own. You have to attend, like probably a month or whatever. Yeah, 795, something like that lah. 800, 900. Yep. Yeah. So any other question? Yes, that's why I said be prepared. Don't never ever go and sit for the test without any preparation, because you'll be wasting your time, you'll be wasting your money. Yeah. Sayang. And also the stress of doing it again if you don't get the band that you need. It's the stress. Okay? Yeah. So, yeah, if Any other things?
Okay, another question from YouTube.
Mm-mm.
Is the workshop done physically or virtually?
Virtual.
Right.
Yes, virtual. It's virtual
Okay, so fun.
workshops. Yeah, it's virtual
All
workshop.
right.
Yeah. So anyway, if there's no further question, I think we will end the webinar now.
Sorry,
And
Mr. I think we
one
can
more.
take another one. Last one. Which one is easier? IELTS or TOEFL?
I cannot do the comparison because I'm not too familiar with TOEFL, and also you have to watch out. You have to look at the requirements of the institution that you're applying to, whether they recognize IELTS or they recognize TOEFL or they recognize both. If they recognize both, then you can actually choose between one of them. Yeah, it's not really about which one is easier. It's about you being prepared.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, it's you being prepared. Yeah, the schedule of the workshop, it's from 23rd to 25th.
23rd to 23rd
You
to
go for
25th.
regular
Okay.
English course to prepare for IELTS, especially for newbie. It depends on your time, Khadija. If you have a lot of time, then you just want to improve your English language proficiency, then you can. That is for lifelong skill. But if you just specifically want to target on IELTS itself, it's more on the test strategy. So that one you need to go for a proper workshop, IELTS workshop that caters specifically to the test strategies for IELTS, because they will focus on the question types of IELTS. Okay, so be aware though, for that kind of intensive workshop, no specific no special time will be spent on, let's say, to teach you about simple past tense, present tense, because there's no time. That one is considered language proficiency, yeah, grammar on its own. So no, it's already like in there. When you go there, they will tell you, okay, this one probably you need to use past tense, so you need to know already what is past tense. Yeah, so that one, I'm sure you can use any of the web materials to do the exercises, to understand better, or to get back the memory, if not to revisit your previous English lecturers or teachers. Okay, all right. So yeah, I think I have covered a lot today. I hope all of you have got some idea of what IELTS is and what to do. And if you are really keen on doing the test, I would encourage you to sign up for the virtual workshop. It is going to be very, very helpful for you. All right. So I think I'd like to thank Dr. Wawa for moderating this session, and thank all of you for attending. And before we end, I believe we have a photography session. Don't leave yet, okay? I would like to wish all of you a blessed Ramadan. If I don't see you again, then probably an early Selamat Hari Raya, Aidilfitri to all of you. Okay?
Thank you so
very
much. Thank you
Thank
very
you
much.
very much. So if you're taking the test soon, all the best.
Yes.
Yeah, all the best. Yeah, I shouldn't forget that. All right. So, Wawa, would you want to have a photography session or not?
All right. Thank you, Jackie, for the informative
Okay,
talk.
I'm going
Okay,
to.
so we would like to do another one last thing, which is a photography session. So I think the participants, you can open your camera for us to take
Yeah,
the picture.
please do. Say
Yes,
hello.
yes.
Yeah.
All right, let's give a few minutes for people, few to get ready or touch up.
No need to touch up lah. It's like that lah. Everyone will look almost the same
All
online.
right, ready. 1, 2, 3. Okay, one more time. Freestyle, mini love or peace.
Yo, this one must be crash landing on you one, is it?
Yeah, now of course Korea.
I'm very bad. I'm not very good at doing this.
All right.
I'm horrible at doing this. I'm just like how? Okay. All right. Feel like it.
like this. All right. Okay. So I
Okay.
think again, before we end, on behalf of Academy of Language Studies UiTM Kedah and also ILD UiTM Kedah, I would like to thank all the participants for joining us today. Through Google Meet, Facebook page, and also YouTube. Thank you very much, and we really appreciate that. And please stay tuned for many or other webinar series from us from time to time. And information will be shared through our email and also ILD UiTM Kedah FB page and also ILD YouTube channel. And again, special thanks to you, Miss Jacqueline,
Welcome.
for the informative talk, on IELTS and everything. I think the participants are digesting or maybe preparing themselves to
I
sit
hope
for
I
the
didn't give them more stress, okay? Don't be stressed out, okay? Take your time to prepare yourself. Don't sign up without
unprepared. Yeah.
planning. Yes. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you so much,
All right. So
everyone.
I think
Yeah.
that's all from all of
Yeah.
us. Thank you very much,
Welcome.
everyone.
Bye-bye.